eminent scholar from South Korea. He has done research on 1,000 years of history in Islam in South Korea. Professor will be speaking today on harmony and conflict of Islam in Korean cultural diversity. He is an emeritus professor in Hanyang University, South Korea. Professor, please
Yeah,
welcome to the lecture series.
thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and sister brothers in 1 o'clock in midnight in Korean time. But I'm very pleased that to have this meaningful meeting even through the online with a special topic entitled Harmony and Conflict of Islam in Korean Cultural Diversity. I'd like to introduce the 1,200 years is long and in-depth cultural encounter between Korean Muslim world. So how importance of the modern Muslim community for the future prospect, how to maximizing this historical asset in modern Muslim community. Korea was a country where cultural diversity was respected until the 15th century. This is important. However, the establishment of Joseon dynasty of 15th century and the further acceptance of Neo-Confucianism as national ideology marked the closeness and exclusion of foreign culture. In this atmosphere, the Muslim community, which have lived on the Korean peninsula until then, quickly disappeared in 1427 by the royal decree prohibiting Muslims' way of life. This important is history, 1427, by the royal decree. The breaking 500 years of silence, Korean Muslim new converted in the 1950s established a new Islamic organization, paving the way for the development of Korean Muslim community today. In particular, Korean government policy to attract foreign workers, which began in 1994, has created diversified Muslim community as many foreign Muslims have flown into Korea. Now we have as many as 200,000 foreign Muslims maintain their religion and culture in cooperation with Korean Muslims, about 60,000. Now we have 16 mosques and more than 80 musallas. It's a temporary prayer hall. However, due to the strong influence of the United States, which have a special military and economic strategic partner with Korea, and negative broadcasting against the Islamic issue by the Western mass media, it is worrisome that the phenomenon of Islamophobia has been increasing recently. So prospects and future of the minority Muslim community in Korea will be further assured by seeking compromise and harmony between Korea and Islamic culture and finding a way, a contribution to the host Korean society. Only, I think, daily model example and contribution of individual Muslims in Korea will brighten the desirable future of Islam in Korea. This is my introduction. So more details, the first part, I would like to introduce the long history between two worlds. Exact dates at which the first Muslim came to Korea has not yet been determined, but it is believed they came to Korea via China during the unified Silla Kingdom. It means early 7th century. how we can to approach to understanding the historical facts. According to the archaeological excavation and folklore and oral tradition have presented evidence for cultural exchange between ancient Korea and Arab world. The trade goods between two regions included glassware, carpet, and silver items. These concrete pieces of evidence show the Arab world, Arab culture has long been flowing into Korean peninsula even before the advent of Islam. Therefore, it can be said that 1,200 years ago, Korean peninsula and Arab world had extensive transnational trade and cultural exchanges. Muslim manuals of navigation also show that Muslim navigators were quite at home in the southeastern Sea of China, where first Muslim colonies and communities were established as early as 8th century. According to some Arab travelers who visited China in the mid-9th century, there were more than 100,000 Muslims in southeastern coast of China. Direct encounters between Korean Muslims in Korea can be borne out by references to Korean peninsula found in the writings of Muslim historians or geographers such as no well-known Ibn Khordadbi, Suleiman al-Tazir, Masudi, etc. between 9th or 15th century. Ibn Khordadbi was the first Arab scholars to mention Muslim residents in Korea, and Masudi wrote about Iraqis residents in Korea. But nobody wrote about return of Muslims from Korea. It means many Arab immigrants permanently settled down in Korean peninsula. Nobody returned back. The first Korean historical texts documenting relation with the Muslims may be Koreasa, it means official chronicles of Korea dynasty of 11th century. According to the chronicles, the certain Arab groups of more than 100 members headed by Hassan, Razi, Abu Nahab, these Muslim names clearly mentioned in the Korean chronicles. They came to Korea for trade 1024, followed by several Muslim trade groups. During their stay in Korean peninsula, they were specially treated as important guests and traders by the Korean king and returned with Korean products given by the Korean king. Even in Korean record, we are very vividly, very clearly mentioned the wide range of trade transaction between Korea and Muslim merchants since the 11th centuries. Now we see the Muslims in Korean peninsula in the Middle Ages during the Mongol period. As you know well, Mongol conquered Korea in 1270s. For almost 80s, Korea was under Mongol dominance. At the time, many Muslims serving in the Mongol administrations came to Korea. During this period, many Muslims settled down permanently and assimilated to Korean society thanks to the preferential treatment and profitable economic advantages offered to the Muslims coming together with Mongol masters. The Muslims from Central Asia, they settled down in Korea. More interestingly, they formed their own Muslim community, Ummah, in the Korean capital, Kaesong, now is North Korea, where they could maintain their culture, tradition, and Islamic festivals and daily practice. Even they built very beautiful and big mosque in the early 13th century. It means 700 years ago. And they elected their own religious leaders called Sheikh, Imam. From time to time, the heads of the Muslim community had exceptional honor to attend court ceremonies invited by Korean king. This is very interesting importance for the mutual relations. So I tell the very unknown, interesting stories. The early 15th centuries, Muslim sheikh and imams were regularly invited by court ceremonies. During the court ceremony, the representative of Muslim community recited the Holy Quran in front of Korean king and made Arabic dua, the king's longevity and national prosperity. Very clearly described official Korean chronicles in the early 15th centuries. But unfortunately, what happened? What disappeared suddenly? So we found the long pages of the official chronicles. Finally, we reached the conclusion. We found important passage. What happened? What disappeared? The big number of Muslims in the early 15th centuries. Under the assimilation policy of the Korean dynasty of 15th century, Muslims in Korea who secured a quite high social and economic position gradually abandoned their distinctive attire, custom, and religious rituals because influenced by the Neo-Confucianism of the Chinese Ming Dynasty, a Korean king announced a royal decree in 1427 which prohibits what it declared to prohibits the Muslim culture and tradition. There are no historical documents on cultural contact between Korea and Muslim world from that decree 1427 until the early 20th centuries, 500 years, this persecution and silence for the Muslim community in Korean society. This is very tragic stories. In spite of negative decree for the Muslim upgrading in Korea, under the homogeneous policy of the Joseon dynasty of 15th century, Muslims in Korea made important contribution to, you see, the Muslims at that time was technocrats, the coming to Korea with the assistance of a Mongol regime. So they have a wide range of high level of science and technology and world information. In this sense, Muslims in Korea made a great contribution to astronomy, calendar science, medicine, as well as musical and scientific instrument in Korea. According to the Korean official chronicles, the Korean lunar calendar in modern time which was widely used through the dynasty and even used in Korean society, was designed based on Islamic astronomy and calendar science. Islamic science might have also contributed to new invention of various scientific instruments in Korea in mid-15th century, such as celestial globe, water clock, sundial, astronomic clock, and rainfall gauge. Islamic activities in Korea started again with the arrival of Russian Turks, mostly Tatar, Kazan Tatar, in the 1920s. You see, from 1427 until 1920, after 500 years long absence, now newcomers from Russian Muslim Turks to Korean Peninsula. How? Why? In 1917, as you know well, in Russia, they have a Bolshevik communist revolution was happened. But as many Muslims under the Soviet is a communist Russia, too much persecute from the regime. So some of Muslims in the Russia, they escaped from the regime and immigrate to the Far East. More than 600 immigration groups, among them 200 persons stationed in China, Manchuria, and 200 persons in Korea, another 200 persons in Japan. So almost 200 is Muslims from Russian Turks came to Korean Peninsula in 1970s. They established their own national and religious federation they call Milli and Dini Jamiat. They benefited from trade between Manchuria, Korea, and Japan, and obtained high social position under the production of the Japanese Governor General of Korea. At the time, Korea was under Japanese occupation. However, after Korean independence in 1945 and the outbreak of Korean War, as you know well, in 1950, they were pressured to immigrate to Turkey, Europe, and USA. Now, no more Muslims remained in Korea from that time. Muslims were forced to cooperate with the Japanese government general as a survival strategy to protect their intrusive interest as the natural consequences. You see, during the Japanese occupation, Muslims in South Korea, they should cooperate with the Japanese regime. It means vice versa. For the Koreans, the Korean views toward the Muslims were negative. You see, it cooperate with the enemy, cooperate with the aggressors. In the liberation from the Japanese colonial oppression, Koreans regarded the Muslims as an enemy and targeted persecution. These circumstances have resulted in the collapse of the newly formed Muslim community since its disappeared in 1427. They all migrated to Europe and United States. It's no Muslims from Russian Turks remained in Korea. Now, how could be established modern Muslim community? This is another interesting stories. Now is I would like to mention Korean War and Turkish soldiers. The seed of Muslim community in Korea was sold in 1955 by a group of Turkish military personnel stationed in South Korea, responding to the call of the United Nations to defend South Korea from the attack of combined communist troops we call Korean War. Korean War destroyed all the facilities of newly independent Korea, together with more than 1 million human casualty. This is the strongest, the tragic, the memory for all Korean peoples is losing more than 1 million human casualty. The war destroyed everything, but significantly, Korean War and Turkish participation became meaningful momentum to appear today's Korean Muslim community by the Turkish Muslim soldiers who participated in the war under the banner of United Nations Army. The Turkish soldiers, beside their duties to defend the peace and freedom of the Korean Peninsula, at the same time, they propagated their religion, by which the first Korean Muslim generation opened new era for Islam in Korea. In the Islamic activities, it means Dawah activities, the great contribution made by Turkish imams of the Turkish brigade was particularly remarkable. Until 1955, however, Islamic activities of Turkish imams aiming at the local Koreans were not allowed by the Turkish government, because the Turkish government absolutely followed the secularism by the Turkish constitution. So it's a strong debate. Turkish Imam in Korea can propagate Islam to local Koreans or not among army headquarters. After long and strong debates, finally, Turkish government allowed to touch the Koreans and to teach Islamic tenets to local Koreans. So with a special permission from Ankara of Turkish government, now Turkish imams more freely could start to disseminate Islamic teaching only to those Koreans who visited the Turkish army camp, and then to the general Korean publics through various visiting lectures and seminars and conferences. Indeed, from September 1955, the Turkish imams initiated a very positively Islamic Dawah activities in Korea. They even built a temporary mosque for daily prayers for Koreans, and regular lectures on Islam were made by Turkish imams. During this time, some of Koreans, of course, embraced Islam and converted to Islam by the excellent guidance of Turkish Imam. This is the first generation of modern Korean minority community. New converted Korean Muslims established the Korea Islamic Society in 1955. This is the first Muslim organization initiated by local Muslims. Almost every weekend, they invite the Turkish Imam and organized regular Islamic lecture series in Seoul and outskirts of Seoul, through which many Koreans took a valuable opportunity to listen to the basic teaching of Islam. As a result, June 1955 witnessed the mass embracement of Islam. At that time, 57 Koreans at once, they converted to Islam. It is very impressed by the impressive lecture of Turkish Imam Kara Ismail Oğlu. So after listening to the impressive lecture on Islam by the Turkish Imam, his name is Kara Ismail Oğlu. Among the participants, the 57 local Koreans suddenly embraced Islam as their religion. This is a dramatic turning point in Islamic development in Korea. They are first generation of a modern Muslim minority community. In July 56, next year, Kara Ismail Oğlu is finished his duty in Korea and came back his home country. And replaced by him, new Imam came to Korea, named Jubair Koch, who came to Korea just after graduation of Imam Hatib High School in Turkey. His age was 21. You see, 20 years of a young and brilliant Imam came to Korea as brigade military Imam. A young Imam initiated energetic Islamic propagation and lecture series, mainly through conference and wide range of personal contact in masjid in Seoul and countryside. In the opening ceremony of a masjid, by his excellent guidance, another 58 Koreans accepted Islam. Thanks to his extraordinary efforts and hard working, until his departure from Korea in July 1957, during 1 year, the number of Muslims in Korea reached 208. It was 56, 57, and another 100 people accepted Islam. The time in July 1957, the number of Korean Muslims reached 208. You see how small, but it's how brilliant, important the figure of number. Now we see the development of modern Muslim community. Since the Islamic movement in Korea was initiated by Turkish Imams in the 1970s, the first Korea was sponsored and assisted by Malaysia. Malaysia is an important country, and then Pakistan, who helped the Muslim minority community in the initial stage of Korea in 1960s and early 1970s. Then Malaysian Prime Minister Tunku Abdul Rahman, he personally visited his mosque in Korea and met his Korean first generations. He promised to encourage and to support the building mosque. And then Said Maulana Jamil from Pakistan, he also personally did great contribution through his education and teaching Islam, particularly to younger generation of Korean Muslims. By their great contribution in 1967, Korea Islamic Foundation was officially registered to Korean government and recognized to represent Muslim community in Korea. Then suddenly oil crisis happened in early 1970s. Korean government was extraordinary crisis, how to secure the crude oil. This is a basic condition a daily life, survival life for Koreans. So at that time, the Korean Muslim Federation has a great bridge role to connect Korean government to oil-rich Arab countries for the national survival, for the national economy. By the great contribution of minority Muslim community for Korean government, for Korean nationals, then Korean President Park Chung-hee donated the land, the site for the Central Mosque in 1976. You see, Central Mosque in Seoul, Itaewon was built by the great cooperation of Korean government. As the construction of the long cherished Seoul Central Mosque became a turning point for rapid Islamic growth in Korea, the number of Muslims increased from 5,000 in 1975, suddenly increased 10,000 in 1979. During the 4 years, the number of Muslims increased twice, from 5,000 to 10,000. It is a very rapid and the sudden development of modern Muslim minority community in Korea. The second and third mosques were also completed in Busan and Gwangju, big cities, respectively. Another two mosques followed between 1986 and 87. Today, according to the statistics of Korean Muslim Federation, in Korea there are about totally 260,000 Muslims, including 60,000 local Korean Muslims, together with 200,000 with foreign Muslims, with 16 mosques and 80 musallas. Under the auspicious federation, now we have Muslim Student Association, Youth Association, Women Association. Also, under the Muslim Federation, we have very specific committee to deal with daily needs of Islamic solution of Islamic problems, such as Sharia Committee, the Halal Committee, Dawah Committee, Zakat Committee, Publication Committee, all to resolve any problems faced to Muslim minority community in Korea. The committee members consist of local and foreign Muslims together. In a word, the main activities should be focused on creating the non-hostile atmosphere toward Muslims to make Korean society so the place where local Muslims can live more freely and advance to every part of the country without any discrimination or disadvantages. We advance to the last part, the expansion of foreign Muslim communities. Korea have been a very strong homogeneous society throughout its long history, one language, one ethnicity, one territory. But since 1990s, however, with rapid influx of foreign immigrants, Korean society has experienced multicultural amalgam with which Korean people are faced to changing their long preserved homogeneous conception. From that time, xenophobia and Islamophobia began to appear. This is a negative trend. The main cause of the sites, preoccupation and discrimination against the foreign workers and the foreign bride is rooted in the profound belief in the distinctiveness of Korean culture and its superiority. These preoccupation and hostilities tend to be more intensified in the matter of Muslim immigrants in Korea, mixing with the religious sensitiveness of certain radical conservative Christian organizations, these evangelical groups. The number of Muslim immigrants in Korea reached to more than 200,000 persons, which consists of totally 10% of total foreigners in Korea, and they have become major hostile target from time to time as the pioneer of Islamization movement in Korea, whether the fact is true or not. Now, to enlighten the comprehensive and more objective reality of Muslim immigrant community in Korea is strongly required in order to get rid of unnecessary misunderstanding and to design more effective strategy dealing with Muslim immigrants. Now, to save the time, move to the conclusion field. It is not easy for Muslims to live in Korean society without revealing one's Muslim identity due to negative atmosphere and hostile image on Islam and Muslims. Foreign Muslim workers who are temporarily staying to earn money have to endure some disadvantage and preoccupation because they return to their home countries. But the situation is very negative for Korean Muslims and migrants, refugees, and marriage couples who have to continue living on Korean soil. First, Korean society has a strong preoccupation and negative perception of migrants and refugees, especially Muslims. Second, some extremists who view Islam as a religion of terrorism and Islamophobia are still operating strongly. This is due to the influence of Western-oriented media outlet and strong Islamophobia of few evangelical parts. Under these undesirable circumstances, understanding of Islamic culture is crucial and essential given the economic situation of Korea, which must survive through the global trade for Koreans. As one force of global community must be embraced as friends, as mature global citizens. Moreover, Korean Muslims respect Korean culture and pursue strategy to survive and develop their community through harmonious compromise rather than conflict. This is a basic philosophy of Korean Muslim minorities. In addition, Muslims in Korea adopting strategies to increase their presence by more actively contributing to Korean society through upgrades their own existence, their presence through contribution to the local host cultures. It means Korean society. It's a good example is that Korean Muslims were in good relation with Arab countries to take the initiative in solving countries' economic crisis when the Korean economy was a difficult situation due to the two oil shock in 1970s. As a result, the Central Mosque in Seoul could be built in 1976 by the side contribution by the Korean government. Furthermore, Korea Muslim Federation has greatly contributed to the establishment of diplomatic relations with Pakistan, Iran, Libya, and Algeria, and to improve the better relation with the Muslim countries. The Korean Muslim Federation did great role and bridge contribution to connect for the mutual respect and mutual interesting. This means through the great contribution of Korean Muslims, the ordinary Korean peoples the differently recognize the importance and significance of the Muslims as a part of Korean citizenship, not the alien and foreigners. Now is the Muslim strategy of establishing good relation with the mainstream Korean society and harmonizing with the Korean neighbors rather than conflict and confrontation will guarantee a better position for the Muslim community in the future. So in that kind of efforts and strategy for Muslim Korean Muslims is a good route and the desirable the future prospect hopefully we expect. Time is almost limited, so I conclude my remark here. So the other the questions to be solved, we have some the Q&A times. Thank you very much. Thank you for your listening and joining. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much for these illustrious descriptions and the narrative on the Islam in Korea. It's interesting to hear about the harmony and tolerance that you give. Could you explain that, how the Korean Muslim Association that developed in the religious harmony and tolerance, which are the activities from the side of the new leaders?
We have the regular committee is a multi-religious dialogue. We have the 3-4 big groups. It's Korean Muslim Federation actively participate in the dialogue among religions. Another one is the dialogue among civilizations. So through the active participation and we are organizing regular lecture series and participation of the community issues, we try our best to Muslims can contribute our society. No more negative effects. Still, we have a long way to go, but it's through the active, hardworking, and sincerity as Koreans, is through the great contribution, hopefully we can change the general tendency and atmosphere of ordinary Korean peoples as a positive partner of the Korean development.
Thank you so much. You have been in the university for decades. How these youths, especially the Muslim community and youths, how they integrate together.
I think as far as I know, it's 6-7 universities have a Muslim Student Association in the university level. So not so much, but it's Hanguk University of Foreign Studies. We have the 4 universities open the Arabic department. Also 2 universities open Malay Indonesian department. So they have the Muslim language department. There is the basic foundation to have a more close relation with other Korean students. They are this basic core is a center for the youth activities. They have their organized Islamic culture exhibition or the dialogue in the current issue nowadays in the Paris and Nice in the terrorist attack. So now is a strong debate between Muslim Student Association and other students. It is not matter of Islam. This matter of radical, the un-Islamic groups. So this change the preoccupation. Islam is a terrorist religion. This is a great contribution of Muslim Student Association is to appeal to the other Korean colleague. not through the older generations, by the younger generation each others. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And you just explained that, that 1,200 years of old heritage, is it the legacy is still there? Any kind of influence in the language or culture?
Yes, unfortunately, during the 15th century, according to the homogeneous strategy and assimilation policy, all the Muslims adopted and evolved in the Korean society. No more any cultural and Islamic the heritage continued to modern community. They cut the relation more than 500 years. That's why the modern Muslim community started very small minority groups. So even medieval ages, we have the huge Muslim groups who contribute to greatly the Korean culture and science and technology. So to enlighten the forgotten history to modern Korean society, so we try to change their preoccupation and negative images. How Islam has great contribution to our society, how long history we have good relation with the Muslim world. Is this, I think, good point. Many the Koreans the feeling too much impressive the historical depths.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Thank
spending
you.
time with us. Hope we will have more relations with the Arab world and especially UAE. And because last time you were chairman, had visited the World Muslim Communities Council, and you also came for the conference. Hope we will have future new project together, inshallah.
Thank you. The next time, see you again. We
Thank you.
pray for your health in during the COVID crisis. Okay, Assalamu
Thank you.
alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Thank you.